Just when you thought the Habs prospect news was done, it's not, as Aatos Koivu in his first game for TPS Turku this year gets a primary assist as his shot from the point gets tipped in. His first point this year for TPS Turku on the team's first goal of the season. Jesse, he has looked really good in his first game there for TPS. We got to dive into that. Plus, Corey Pronman revealed his top list of the top rebuilds in the NHL. And once again, as per usual on certain lists on The Athletic, Montreal is way too low. We got to get into that. Plus Nick Suzuki's recent comments on how excited he is for Patrik Laine and how excited Laine is to be in Montreal. There's a bunch of great stuff coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. But quickly, before we get into the video, guys, I just wanted to ask you one more time. I've been asking you a lot lately, but we have a massive goal. We want to hit 15,000 subscribers before the start of the season. There's 29 days left. I know it's insane, but if you like daily Habs content, you want daily Habs content all throughout the season, if you could hit the button down below, the subscribe button's completely free. You can see all of our latest videos. Keep up on all the latest stuff. We'd really appreciate it. Jesse, I'm not going to get into that too much longer. We got to talk first about Patrik Laine now. We are so excited to have Patrik Laine in Montreal, and it seems like that feeling is reciprocated by Laine himself, as recently, just yesterday, on NHL.com, Nick Suzuki was asked a few questions. I'll bring up this picture here. Laine's in good spirits with the Canadiens, says Suzuki, and we'll just bring up a couple of his quotes. He said, first, if I can bring it up, I've had the chance to skate with him over the last week, and he's in good spirits. He seems to be in a good mindset, which is great. I think he's really excited to get it going with us. He went on to say that he obviously has a big name that comes with him. He's had a couple of rough years. Hopefully, we can spark something in him and turn him around, getting him back to where he was playing earlier in his career. We're excited to have him. Some great stuff here, Jesse. I'm super excited for Laine as well. I know you are. I know the fans are, but how great is it to hear that? I mean, look, the captain's going to say positive things, but to hear, like, these glowing reviews about Laine so far from pretty much anyone that's been asked is such a good sign.
And Laine is definitely doing his part, right? If you're not early to camp, you're late. So it's just so nice to see him motivated, ready to go, getting that rust off. And you can clearly tell that he's excited to play in Montreal. We're getting obviously the news lately that he's refused trades to a couple other teams. So you have to feel like Laine is inspired to play his best hockey yet in Montreal. You have to feel like the best is yet to come. And we know we need to walk before we run, but I definitely feel under the right circumstances that Patrik Laine can surpass, maybe it's not this year, but during his time in Montreal, he can pass that 44-goal plateau that he set career best in goals with the Winnipeg Jets. He's getting into his prime right now. You have to feel like he's playing also with a young group of players, also kind of getting, very much maturing, maybe a higher skilled player than some of the other ones that he's played with in the past. So again, he's having fun, and that's what's so important, seeing him on the ice in Montreal, enjoying his time with Suzuki. Like, if he wanted to be in a positive environment, which we knew was so important for Laine, he said, I want to have fun playing hockey again. We know that he made the right decision in coming to Montreal.
Yeah, I think it's the perfect environment for him. Really quick before we move on to the next topic. I know we talked about this a bit on stream yesterday. Do you see a world where those two share a line this season? Because I think I certainly do, at least maybe for a little bit of time.
Oh, absolutely. Not right away. There's going to be a little bit of, we want to make sure to kind of solidify that first line first. But there's just too much talent there. You're definitely going to want to experiment just a little bit. And that's really the beauty of our top six right now, especially with Demidov coming over. Once Demidov's here, then I would expect to see a lot more experimentation, because it basically just changes everything of how our lines can be composed. It's all really based off chemistry, but we're starting to see some early signs of that between Suzuki and Laine.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Can't wait to see it. Let us know your thoughts on this down below. I know we're all excited about Laine, but it's so cool to hear that from the captain. We're going to quickly move on. We got to get to a lot of stuff in this video. I mean, look, I know some people have started to meme Corey Pronman as being a Habs hater. I just think he's consistent. I don't think, you could argue he's a Habs hater, whatever. Look, he has certain views on certain players. He's less sold on Demidov and Hudson becoming stars at the NHL level than a lot of other writers are. And I think that's fine. I think it's good to have people who are maybe more on the negative side. You got to balance things out. Not everyone can love everything the Habs are doing. However, we do. And so we disagree very much with this list, Jesse. So he ranked the NHL rebuilds, which teams are most likely to be contenders. He went through every non-playoff team from last year, and it's, no surprise. You see Connor Bedard in Chicago at number 1. But where does Montreal rank? Where do you think Montreal ranked, fans, in the comments? Maybe leave your guess now. We'll just see if you're right or wrong. Spoiler, you're probably wrong, because he had them at number 9, Jesse. He said they have some very good young forwards. They got Demidov, he's quite talented. Suzuki and Caufield are pretty good, but they need to find a premium blue liner or two. Look, you got Hudson, you got Guhle, you got Reinbacher. I would bet the house on the fact of one of them maybe getting there. But the thing that annoyed me maybe the most about this, Jesse, I hate being negative, but I just don't see how Ottawa's at number 2 behind Chicago and Montreal's at number 9. Yes, I understand. Brady Tkachuk is a phenomenal player. Tim Stützle is a phenomenal player. You could argue like Stützle in terms of hockey talent is maybe better than any of the young Montreal players. I think you could argue just in terms of skill. I don't know if I would. I would still say Suzuki is maybe better than him, but you can have that argument. Stützle is a very, very, very good player. I'm not going to lie. But Jesse, when you look at where the Senators are, their current prospect pool now is not that great, and they haven't had success, whereas Montreal seems to be climbing every year. Look, I don't know. I don't know if I want to argue one above the other so much, but to see that big of a gap at least is quite disappointing to me to see Montreal so low.
There's a gap there. It's definitely shots fired from Pronman here, clearly diverging from what most analysts think. You know, the consensus is, we got Anaheim, we got the Ducks, we got Chicago, Montreal, like right in there, maybe one or two, kind of depending on
San Jose there too.
Analysts are kind of speaking. Absolutely, so it's like that's who we kind of normally expect. They're calling Demidov talented, I feel, is a huge understatement. And as well saying that we lack, kind of that premium sort of player on the defensive end. It's like
there's no reason why we drafted. I'll tell you that.
That's it. We drafted another right-hand D in Ryan Bacher, just 2 years ago. And again, like Hudson for me, I feel is that guy. But not only that, with like a Guhle, with a Mailloux, not only do we have the high-end talent in a Ryan Bacher, in a Hudson, but then we also have, I would say, it's going to turn into one of the better, most well-rounded groups in the NHL. When you throw in Guhle, you have somebody like a Xhekaj, on your third pairing, maybe a guy like Barron that can still definitely produce offensively. I think that this is going to be a young decor that's actually going to age quite nicely. It'll end up being one of the strengths. Of course, we've been so deep there for a long time, so we're really, the competition is just bringing out the best. So, of course, we're kind of used to the athletic propaganda when it comes to the Habs a little bit. But that's why Habs Digest is here.
Yeah, exactly. And look, some of them are going to be positive, some of them are going to be negative. Scott Wheeler tends to like Montreal, like Demidov, like Hudson a lot more. Pronman doesn't, and he really likes guys like Xhekaj. Is it like possible that Ottawa is further along in the rebuild and are maybe closer to contention if everything goes right? You could make that argument. They have great talented players that are further along. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. I'll let the fans decide in the comments. We're not gonna slander anything. It's a great article. I will link it down below. Go read it. But whether you agree or disagree, love to hear from you. Jesse, final topic. We got to get into this too. Oh my gosh, Aatos Koivu. Oh, he's nice with it. Look, you know what? I just love talking about different prospects every day because it's so fun. This is the time of year where we start seeing people go, the Camp de Recrue, the rookie camp this weekend coming up. I almost said Defencemen. I'm speaking English, French to Frenglish show today apparently, but the rookie camp is coming up. There's going to be some games against the Leafs. Can't wait to see what Florian Xhekaj has to do with those Leafs guys and lots of the great Habs defenders. But before any of that happens, we got TPS Turku in action now. It's not just the KHL, it's Aatos Koivu, who for some reason I always thought was a left-hand shot. I know, I've watched his highlights. I just keep forgetting he doesn't shoot the same way as his dad. But look at him here, moving the puck around, bringing it up to the top, firing it. A great tip in. We got a couple different angles of this. Look, he's looking, I don't know, it's hard to tell how skinny he is from there, but I know his weight was one of the things we talked about coming into the NHL. Jesse, he was pretty skinny, but he looks very solid there, and I just wanted to bring up his stats. Look, well, there's Nathan Gravite. I will link this highlight down in the description as well. But, on pace for 60 assists in 60 games, which makes perfect sense, of course. But again, to be his age, to still be a teenager, and to be at his size, like relatively undersized weight-wise, to make TPS out of camp, not only that, but to get a primary assist on the team's first goal of the season is, a pretty ideal start for this 4th-round draft pick.
And he's definitely going to get more ice time playing like that. Now, the thing with Aatos Koivu is that he's got a great shot. That's his calling card. That's his main sort of thing. But kind of leading into that, what was interesting is just seeing like his creativity, but also his quickness, his separation speed in the offensive zone. Now, we know that the skill is there, that the speed is there. For me, it's just a question of size. If he can kind of just add some size, like that quickness, that skating ability, for me, projects very well to the NHL level. So for sure, young player here, in Liga. But if he continues to play like this, he's going to continue to earn more and more ice time. And this is definitely a player, like we know with the pedigree, we know with the knowledge that he has from his family that, this is a player that could surprise us and definitely make his way onto the Montreal Canadiens. Definitely not in the near future, but a couple of years down the road, he's definitely going to have that opportunity.
I just love that, there's this trend now of Habs prospects playing up to their competition, whether it was Filip Eriksson, his insanely hot start in the Champions Hockey League over in Europe so far, or whether it's Oliver Kapanen being projected to play first line, first power play, first penalty kill if he doesn't make the Habs out of camp. To see Aatos Koivu, a small, maybe somewhat undersized teenager, make TPS Turku out of camp and have an impact on their first goal. I just love the fact that we're talking so highly of so many Habs prospects, Jesse. It's really exciting. Share the love down below if you love what's going on with all these prospects, and Aatos Koivu in particular, because I think a lot of Habs fans have a particular sweet spot for this guy. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. 15,000 subs before the start of the season is an insane goal, but I think if you guys help us out, we might just be able to get there. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.